Kori.
Good luck. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah, I will.
Can you do like
I
a
will.
captain's log style text message to me?
Captain's log.
Hour 4. They're getting
Bottle
restless.
6.
Yes. Yes.
I now have a wine IV drip,
Yes.
and it is flowing straight to the back of my throat.
2 boys have cried. It's all right. We're all still here.
Right. I've cleaned up poop. I've cleaned up urine.
I
have blown 17 noses.
We've had 2 sugar overdoses.
Yep.
Oh my God. Good luck. Good luck. Hi. Welcome to Pushing Past Polite, where we talk about what matters and make the world more just. I'm Laura.
I'm Kori.
And Keith is here.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. What a subdued tone. So whoever put Halloween and daylight savings and election day in the same, week, 10-day span? No, thank you.
They don't give a fuck about you.
No, they clearly don't. I am hungover in every way but alcohol. I didn't even have a single drink, and I am hungover as hell.
You stupid ass bitch. I ain't fucking with you.
November? You think you like November?
Right.
No, you don't. No.
Yeah. Way more of a September kind of girl.
Do you remember how much better we felt in September?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a lot to talk about today. Let's process some things. The election happened. I can't say I'm surprised.
Neither
Kori,
can
you
I.
called it. My husband said, he goes, damn it, Kori called it. It doesn't mean I wasn't hopeful. It doesn't mean I didn't.
I wasn't hopeful.
That's right. I volunteered a little. I didn't do as much as I normally do, but I know I'm not responsible for saving the world. I donated, I voted, I did my thing, and it didn't happen. And I'm not shocked either.
Yeah.
So about that.
Yeah. So now we have 4 years.
Or more. I say that in case he just doesn't care about the Constitution and something different changes.
So Portugal's real nice.
Although, if Russia's going to take Europe, I mean, who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows, you guys? It's just a wild
Yeah.
time. So, the 3 of us are sitting in different states right now, right? One of us is...
We had a great night, though, Maryland.
Yes. So let's talk about that, how this feels in a solidly blue state, in a rural area that's very red of a blue state, and in a red state.
But in a blue area of a red state, right?
Yeah, it's like we're the inverse of each other.
Yeah, I was in Florida and I still had one of those little progressive bubbles. So I was more optimistic than I should have been.
How are you feeling in light of that?
It sucks. I don't know how else to say it. It was just such a bummer to wake up. I at least thought we might have a couple days, but no, this was decisive. And here in Florida, we had a number of amendments on the ballot that, again, some of us were pretty optimistic for. It was to safeguard reproductive rights, to essentially end the 6-week abortion ban that currently exists. And 57% the people in Florida versus 43 voted in favor of it. And apparently that's not enough. Because weird thing about Florida, a few years ago, they actually passed an amendment that said you need 60% of the vote to pass future amendments. And that amendment didn't even get 60%. But at the time, it was enough to pass. So
how can we raise the bar to make it even harder for people to organize and tell us what they want?
In the most mediocre way possible. We're not even going to meet the bar to raise the bar.
That's right.
We are going to meet the current status quo and raise the bar
to make it harder for the rest of you.
Harder for the rest of you.
Yeah.
But we are not even going to meet the bar to make the bar.
Yeah.
We get ours and screw you. That's kind of how, yeah. That's pretty emblematic, isn't it? So reproductive rights, so 6-week abortion ban is still in place right now in Florida.
Yeah.
As a result.
That is It's just a kick in the nuts. But there was also one for,
It's just
And the ovaries and the
and the
nuts.
ovaries, the
yeah.
nuts, and the ovaries, where all the reproduction
Mhm.
Yes.
happens,
Yes.
originate.
Gametes. Get you there.
Right.
No, I mean, there was just a lot of work that went into it. There were people were working really hard to get that amendment passed. Every event that you went to, people were out there with clipboards,
Mm.
signing
Yeah.
petitions. It was
No,
people were really, really trying.
yeah. You could tell though. Look at in any normal situation, it would have passed. They would have
57
been
to 43.
successful.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would have been successful.
And again, against the backdrop of Florida too, right? 67% or 57% of Floridians, when they went overwhelmingly red, right? Like again, it's breaking some of that cognitive dissonance and saying like people really putting boots on the ground there. That's evident
Yeah.
in that differential. And yet,
Yep. And the amendment to legalize weed also failed. I think one of the only amendments that did pass was something about like preserving hunting and fishing rights
Margot,
forever. Yeah. Hmm.
Mm.
Shouldn't be surprised. It's Florida, but yeah.
go get you some gators.
Hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's how it feels in a blue bubble red state. Kori on the other end.
It's like we're all out here representing. We made history with Angela Alsobrook,
This is Maryland.
Maryland, being now there are 2 Black female senators in the Senate, the first time ever
That there's been more than one.
that there's been more than one. And one is from Delaware and the other
Mhm.
is from Maryland.
I see some mid-Atlantic pride there. That's
Yeah,
pretty
so
cool.
that's pretty cool. Our governor is Black.
Mhm.
Our we have 2 congressional representatives that are Black. Our senator is now Black. We have a couple of Black mayors in the building. Like, I feel like our state is a representative of our populations, like
Mhm.
in terms of how our governance is looking.
Mhm.
That's kind of cool.
That's uh, a nice victory or silver lining in the midst of what happened at the top of the ticket, right?
Yeah. It's like I saw this picture and it was Angela at the front and then like Wes. It's like, and it was like this little, she's the leader at this point, right? Because she's at the highest level. And she's like somebody I see every Sunday at the
What?
Silver Diner. Yeah,
Are you serious?
for real.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like she's here. This is her community. And so I think she went to the boys' school way back when.
Oh, wow.
So I saw her on Sunday.
Very cool.
Uh-huh.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm in Virginia. In a rural part of Virginia, though I will say our numbers improved. We moved the needle in terms of how people voted out here. That it was more democratic than it usually is, which is great for building for the long haul. And yet it's still really sad and hard and disappointing. We really, similarly, Keith, we either thought this was going to take several days to figure out, or we had hoped it would be resounding in the other direction. And it just wasn't. It just wasn't. I kept hearing stories of these long lines of women surrounding the building and spouses showing up separately to vote because there was some tension there. And I kept thinking, okay, all right. In other words, the wife might vote in a way that the husband didn't want her to, right? Which is a whole nother conversation and dynamic. But I just had this, I was like, maybe it could be that resounding. And
Right.
unfortunately, again, I think we knew it and felt it that it wasn't going to be. And it was disappointing. And then to know, again, the families with transgender children in my community, like really mourning and being fearful, appropriately so. And other folks too. But I just see how that played out here and knowing there are families that are just very afraid and don't feel like they belong and are wondering, again, do we go to Portugal? Wherever. It's just hard. It's hard. It's just really hard. So I just took the day after. I took Wednesday. Again, it's a luxury that I had, but I let myself feel a whole lot of feels and then I would just rest and I got back in bed and I would get up and feel a little more and then I would go back to bed. I think I ate lunch or breakfast. I think I ate breakfast around 2:00. but I just needed to recover before I was able to encourage anybody else.
And I was helping friends sober up who were very, 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 very extraordinarily disappointed. And so I was at brunch talking people off ledges. But I think for me, it was really helpful. I participated in um, Recenter Equity is a organization that Natalie's Worker is the executive director of in Connecticut, and they hosted a call, and it
Like
was
a
like a
Zoom
social
call.
justice focused call.
Mhm.
And I think that having that to ground Tuesday,
Mm.
like the morning of Tuesday, really just helped because even no matter who was going to win, like for me, we're funding a genocide that stays problematic, right?
Mhm.
And that was going to be something that we would be fighting against arms embargoes and
Regardless.
all those things regardless,
Mhm.
right? So it's like part of the conversation was like, what are the things that are going to be the true for you today and tomorrow?
Mm.
Right? Like, what are the pieces that you're going to be holding on to no matter what the outcome is? And being able to kind of like ground my day in that kind of thinking and writing those things down and
Mm.
thinking about those things and talking about those things helped me to be like less moved by the outcome because I already thought I already was expecting what happened.
Mhm.
But then having that sense of purpose around like it's the sun's still going to come up and I'm still going to be fighting for justice.
Mhm.
So it didn't
It might
matter
look a little
who.
different. We
It might
might
look a
be
little different.
Uh-huh.
Yes, but it's like those are things that are still going to be prioritized. My kids are still going to be prioritized. My family is still going to be prioritized. Keeping them safe is going to be a priority no matter who wins, right? And so I think that kind of foundation really just anchored me to be able to accept it without as much stirring.
Mhm. That prompt has been helpful for me too. What is true of me today that is still gonna be true of me tomorrow?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that as well. And I just wasn't as shocked. Like, I think back to 2016 and how the poll said something, you know, surely looking at this juxtaposition, there's no way.
Right.
And I remember how sick I felt, just sick, and not even knowing how dangerous he would be. I just felt sick that this happened, and I didn't feel that same sense. I certainly am sad. I'm very sad that this is the state of affairs, and, you know, uh, I understand the economic factors are really powerful for people. I get that, and I recognize that I live in a bit of a bubble and that I can afford eggs. If I had to, I could afford baby formula. I could do all of the things I would need to do. And I forget how powerful that is for somebody who can't, right? So I'm trying to give a most generous interpretation to this. Um,
Yeah, and I like to just also think every single election cycle that there are so many people who are single issue voters who are like not looking at the fullness of what each candidate is bringing to the table, but
mhm,
they are leaning into one element, one aspect, one promise that benefits them or that resonates with them or that will impact them.
mhm,
And that is the direction in which they vote. So like you were saying that financial piece for some people was like that was the thing, not realizing that the medication that you get through Medicare or Medicaid is now also going to be something that you may have to pay for because he's going to also try to
cut
upend and
benefits.
get rid of those benefits,
Or
right?
your social security check for
Or
your parents is now going to be lessened,
yes,
but at least you can afford eggs or like whatever the it
whatever the
is. Yeah.
thing is, right? And so it's like I like to think about that's how I can extend compassion is because it's like that thing is really important to you. And secondly, we intentionally do not have a highly educated populace.
Mm. Say
And
that again.
so
Say that again.
we intentionally do not have a highly educated populace. And so it's easier
To fool
to
and dupe.
encourage them to just hone in on this one thing while I dog and pony these other things. And that's how I can get your vote,
Mhm.
right? So that's just, and then they feel it later, right? They feel it later, the impact of not noticing all of the rest of the things that were being talked about.
Mhm.
Starting to see the stories now where people who work in manufacturing or, blue collar industries are starting to understand like what the tariffs really mean. So companies are purchasing large quantities of materials now
Right.
before
The tariffs
the
that
the next administration, and because of that, like people are losing bonuses.
Yep. I saw that too.
It's slowly going to start dawning on people that they weren't told the truth, that a lot of the promises and the policies that he hinted at or described are just not going to come. Like, I guarantee you, the one thing that he will do is spend $300 billion deporting as many people as he can. That's that's what he's going to do. He's going to deport people,
which
and
then causes labor shortages, which then
mm-hmm,
causes price increases,
yeah,
which
mm-hmm,
Which companies are already bracing for cost increases, as Keith was saying, increases in materials. So they're already planning to start increasing prices now
mm-hmm.
in preparation for those things, so that by the time everything's more expensive, we will already be used to paying more money for those things.
it's a great example of like we all lost, we just don't know it yet. Not
Yeah.
everybody knows it, right? Not only in terms of the economy and again, assuming he carries through on tariffs and what he said he was going to do, it will have a negative impact, right? The only way for prices to go back to where they were would be a depression, and that's not something that would be good for everybody. In terms of democracy, we've lost and we just don't even know yet. Like there's just so many ways in which the celebration on the other side just rings really hollow. And the thing that really pisses me off is this whole like, we just need to get along now. We just need to get along. And like you all, it says so much about your character if you make friendships based on how people vote. Of course, it's coming all from that side of things. And I'm like, that's a privilege to be able to say, just be friends with everybody when a lot of people's safety are jeopardized by what you just did. Like, it's not
Yeah,
safe.
like people's real lives are impacted by your vote.
Yeah. And but we're the sore losers who just need to get along. And it's like, listen, we're not challenging the outcome of the election. We're not storming the Capitol. Like
I
none
was
of
going to
that
ask
shit's
if you guys wanted to. You guys want to try and storm the
I'm
Capitol?
busy
Just
in
see.
January, sorry.
Oh, dang it.
No, like, it's just the it's wild. I had someone who I'm not close with, who's just an acquaintance really, send me a video of staffers supposedly who even knew who these people were who were Trump staffers who were having a worship session after he won, and she was sending this to me like I assume the message was like, look, see, it's a good thing, or like, look, see, God wanted this to happen. And I wrote back, I was like, why did you even send this to me? This turns me off so much more
It
from you.
makes it
And
so much
it's
grosser.
gross. It's gross.
Ugh.
I know.
Yeah. So there's a lot. Also, I am also interested in, or not interested, but kind of like, I feel like it's a funny thing that now people are like, we have to coalition build and we have to do all of these things.
Mm. Well, didn't we just talk last week about how not all white people, particularly white women we were describing, were safe for black people,
Did you
black
hear
for
about
black
this
women?
blue wristband trend?
Yes. This idea of like indicating that you're a safe person by wearing this. Like
Wait, really?
Yeah.
just be a not don't be a shitty person. If you don't have relationships now, you think people are going to want to trust you now?
Okay, so basically the wristband thing is like wearing this blue wristband.
It's like a don't blame me, I bloated blue.
Like, oh yeah, for it's really for white people to be like,
To feel good.
hey, I voted for everybody.
Mm,
See, I'm safe. I have this wristband.
I got. And I guarantee you, a lot of people wearing them probably didn't even vote. If you
Mm.
look at the numbers, it's not like Trump brought a whole bunch of new people to the polls. I think he
Yeah.
actually had a lower vote count. It's quote unquote Democrats, progressives, whatever. It just didn't show up.
Who sat it out?
Mhm.
That actually, while it's frustrating, it also gives me a little bit of hope that the numbers didn't move a whole lot from 2020. Because if this was all of a sudden like a new, we've turned the page and everybody thinks like this, it's easy to think that based on the popular vote, all of that, the percentages. But
Right.
when you look at raw numbers, a lot of this was people sitting it out.
Yeah. I mean, but can we like acknowledge the fact that the Democrats' platform was like, we're better than the other guy? That was
Mhm.
like their platform. And
And let's
so,
tinker around the edges with the system we have
yeah,
versus
or not even. Let's just kind of like keep rolling on this path. Like it was like a status quo bus just like flying in and out of all the cities across the country.
Mhm.
And there was nothing inspirational, right? It's like because you're walking out to Beyonce and J Lo is speaking at your thing, is that supposed to make me want to vote for you? I don't understand. Like, what about you makes me more hopeful when our data still indicate that Black people are more likely to get stopped and frisks, that cop cities are still being built under your watch, that you all, when you were in the Senate and when you were a vice president, you all didn't codify Roe v. Wade, when you're funding a genocide, when like, what are the things that you're trying to tell me are gonna be the things that make me say, you know what, you're my choice. Like you're my choice. As opposed to being like, ugh, I'm gonna choose you over that guy.
I agree. I think that they were really relying on that same Trump backlash vote that they got in 2020. And one of the things that really upset me was I've been screaming for a while now that like this whole idea of quote unquote inflation is kind of just marketing and cover for, if you look at it, a lot of oil companies, retailers, even like these massive agricultural corporations have been earning record
record
profits
They
for
profits.
years,
sucker
just
profits.
record profits. They just use the pandemic as cover to like jack up all their prices. And because there's been so much consolidation, there's not a lot of competition. So you don't really have a choice if, they're going to charge what they charge and you have to pay it at the grocery store. Anyway, I've been saying this for years now that we should be doing something about it, like actually tackling the issue and making it clear to voters that this is what's driving those costs, but they didn't.
Right.
They didn't do anything for
Mm-mm.
years. And then all of a sudden, in the last like 3 months, the Harris campaign starts talking about, oh, we're going to go after the corporations who have been, and it's like, how is this a campaign issue?
Right.
You should have been doing this years ago. And
Mhm.
if they had been, people might have looked at the economic situation a little
That's
bit
right.
differently. They
Yeah.
wouldn't have thought that it was due to federal policy that here's your enemy and we're going to try to fight it. But that really bothered me. They didn't do anything
Mm-hmm.
about it for years and then started talking about it 2 months, 3 months before the.
But that's how I also feel about the women's reproductive health issue as a campaign platform. Like you've had plenty of time to do something about this and you didn't. And now it's actually not even in your control in the position of the president. Like, what are you talking about? So what is your what is your long game strategy to be able to peel back what happened? You're like, well, how are you going to do that? Are you planning to sign an executive order as soon as like what is the plan? Because it's not even in your wheelhouse anymore. It was when you were a senator and when you were the vice president. It was. So it felt empty. There were so many things about it that kind of felt empty and then felt like last ditch effort kind of things. Like,
Mhm.
ooh, we have this like little book of things that we don't want to say, but might engage the population, our
Let me
base.
throw these out. Let me sprinkle that the war needs to end the last
Yeah,
week.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What the hell?
I think one silver lining though is like now because of Congress and the Senate, there's no more blame game this time, right?
Now
So
y'all govern.
at
Do
least
it.
like a year from now, when if anything, your prices have gone up because of the tariffs and everything, you're not going to be able to point at somebody and say, "Oh, it's inflation; it's their fault." Like now,
Yeah.
as bad as things get, there's no way to spin it. So I guess that's kind of a good thing.
And maybe and people pay more attention, right? We're gonna have to engage more. I will tell you, it was really nice to not feel like I had to tune into the news every day under Biden. Like I feel like there was mind you, a very old adult, but at least early on, like a steady, calm presence. I'm not happy with everything he did very clearly. But like I didn't feel like I did under Trump. I just was
Like
constantly,
whiplash.
yeah, what's the new tragedy today? What is the
And
new
can we
thing?
just also just be like, he is the embodiment of all of whiteness and privilege and all of it that lives and exists in this country, because this guy has 34 felonies but has never been to sentencing. Why? So he can run for fucking president.
And how many children from how many different women, but we would feel
Like,
very differently if he were a person of color,
yes.
all of the things.
Like all of the things. Like
Failed
this
businesses,
guy is a
bankruptcies,
rapist telling
rapist,
women
yeah.
that he's going to be protecting them.
Whether you
Like,
like it or not.
or whether you like it or not. Like, what are people thinking about? Those kinds of like creepy ass uncle moments that are constant in his engagement really make me concerned about women who vote for him and what their lived experience has been. Because if you think that those kinds of behaviors
Are
are
normal.
acceptable and
Mhm.
normal, then that's extremely fucking troubling. Like the rapist is going to tell you he's going to protect you whether you want to like it or not.
Mhm.
And he has your vote.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Mhm.
That part, the felony piece, like if he was black, he would be in jail. Like Diddy's in jail.
Mhm.
He would be in jail. He would have been sentenced. He'd be serving his 100,000 years of concurrent sentences.
Who's mayor of New York? The black guy who's already like disgraced.
Eric, what is his
Like,
last name?
we just talked about him.
We did.
That's all right.
Eric.
Whatever. That guy.
Yeah.
Mayor, person of color, done disgraced versus this guy just keeps rising.
Like it's so like the embodiment of failing up. Like just the complete
White mediocrity falling
white
forward.
mediocrity just
Uh-huh.
falling forward and forward. And now this dude is gonna have all the security clearance again. Like
To put
regular
his to put our national security secrets in his bathroom.
in his bathroom at the MiraLago. It's like regular people out here who are trying to work for the government. If you have too much fucking debt, you can't get clearance.
Oh, I got lots of questions. Yeah, I've had
But
clearance. Yeah.
meanwhile, the felon,
Oh, and to clarify, much lower clearance than he ever
much
has.
lower clearance than he will ever have. Right. Like if you have too much debt, if like, you have unhealthy relationships with family members, we need to understand why. Right. There's all kinds of stuff. But
This guy.
this guy, this guy.
Yeah.
Anywho, meanwhile, I'm trying to plan my first sleepover for 3 and 4-year-olds.
Good luck. You need to have lots and lots of freaking caffeine. Lots of caffeine, lots of activities, and a mandatory bedtime. Let me tell you right now. And no coffee, no sugar after like 6 o'clock.
Oh my
I shit
gosh.
you not. You're
Yeah.
about to learn that sleepovers when we were kids were big fun. Sleepovers as parents, not so fun.
Yeah. So I already had like the conference call, the mom conference call. And I was like, so I just want to put out there, I know we're talking about a sleepover, but is anybody actually going to sleep
Or
over?
are they all going to call mommy at 8 o'clock and go, I
Right.
miss you. Can you come get
Yes.
me?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
vote for
So
that.
I said, like, let's just keep that in mind as a significant possibility. But it
Yeah,
turns
don't go out
out
on
that
date nights because you might need to come get your boy.
no, but one of them is going to go out on a date night because it's their wedding anniversary. And I was like, okay, he'll be good with us for a few hours for
Right.
sure.
But
Like
be
he
done
can,
by 8.
yeah, he can come and play and whatever. But like, let's have a check-in time
Yeah.
and see how everybody's feeling when it's like our downtime getting toward bed and see how people are feeling.
So what's the occasion? Is this just the boys want to do this? This isn't birthday
Yeah,
yet.
well, no, one of the kids was like, can I come sleep over?
Mm.
And I was like, of course. I was like, can I come today?
You're like, no, I need some time.
No.
I need
Yeah,
to have a conference call with
and G was sick, and the mom of that child was out of town. It's like,
You're like, yeah, no, I
no.
can't take you away from
Yeah.
grandma right now. You're gonna
Yeah,
have to go
yeah,
home and
yeah.
see this through.
Yes,
That's
like
hilarious.
G came home and was like, "Hey, he wants to have a sleepover, his friend." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, cool." And so I texted the group and I was like, "Hey, yeah, that's fine." But G hasn't been feeling that well this week. And so I was like, "We can't do it this week. We
Yeah.
need to get him
Let
all
them
the way in the
germs clear out of
woods,
here.
let the germs clear out. We need to get all the way through." And so we're talking about doing it on Friday,
Love
next
it.
Friday.
Speaking of
Mhm.
sleepovers, a neighbor of ours right across the way was like, hey, could you use a full bed? Like a really in good shape? I was like, yes, we always can use a bed
Always could use a bed.
because I'm sticking it underneath the guest room bed and pulling it out for sleepovers. Because otherwise we'd schlep a mattress down the hallway. I was like,
That's
oh, yeah.
perfect.
Oh,
That's
yes.
perfect.
Come on.
Nice.
This is the
Come on.
sleepover room. This is the
Yeah.
sleepover room. Here's the bedroom.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
Don't let your husband not come home on time. Like, make sure you have backup. You need another person. You need another adult just to like stay sane. Be like, do you see this
Yeah.
craziness? I
I
see
might
this
also just
craziness.
like hire a babysitter.
And just leave.
No, like as another set of like as another adult. No,
Yeah.
like right, how horrible would that be? I arrange a sleepover and then
I would
leave them
love to
with a
host all of your
babysitter.
children, and I have no guarantee of how this is going to go.
I have no interest in being there, so we can use my house.
Kori,
but
you
I'm
said the
not
quiet part
gonna
out loud.
be there. I'm
God.
out. I'm out.
Every time I go to school to volunteer, the kids are like, oh my gosh, hi. Can I come over? Can I sleep over? And I'm like, yeah, we'll have to see. I'm going to
Yeah.
need to back myself out of this
Yeah.
situation
Yeah.
because I have a
Yeah.
pretty small list of kids that I know. Because I mean, if you're coming to my house, you're playing by my rules.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to jump on the
Yeah.
furniture. We're not going to tackle the dog.
Yeah.
We're not going to stay up till
Right.
2 a.m.
Right.
Here's how this is going. Are we
Yeah.
clear? No, you're
Yeah.
not keeping a phone up. If your mama wants you to have a phone, that's fine. At bedtime, that phone goes downstairs. You're not
Yeah.
playing and looking at things at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you obey by these
Can you?
rules?
Yeah.
If you can't
Sign
abide,
here with your blood, okay?
sign here. I'm calling your mom at
I
1
need
a.m. to come get
I
your
need a
ass.
blood pact.
Yes, yes. We've had some sleepovers go beautiful. There's one that she could live here for all I care. She could
Yeah.
live here. She's pretty. She's one of my extra kids. We joke the parents and I, who claims you for taxes.
No,
Like,
right.
fine,
That's sweet.
but just Joe Schmo off the side of the road. And let me tell
Yeah.
you,
Yeah. Yeah.
let me give you a little orientation to Casa de Kastner and how this
Yeah.
is going to run.
I'm like, also, these kids are like 3, 4, and 5. Like, are they really? I drop my kids off at my brother-in-law's house, who is like their blood and family, and they love, and they're my sister-in-law. And she just cried
Mm-hmm.
and
I think your
cried
boys are talking a big game. I suspect not
and
everybody's going to stay the night.
cried. I don't think so either. And so I started that conversation with G today just to be like, remember that time that you slept over at somebody's house and you had big feelings about mommy leaving and papa leaving, remember? And he got big feelings again just thinking about it. I was like, so I need you to hold on to that.
You know what
Because
G says,
your
though?
friends,
I bet he's going to say, but I don't have to worry about that because it's going to be my
'cause I'll
house with
be
my
here,
people.
right.
Yes, but your people now feel that
I
way.
was like, but your friends might feel that way, that,
Oh my God.
that they may have some of those big feelings too. And I want you to be prepared for the possibility
Mhm.
that they are going to go to their own houses for sleeping.
Yes. That's called a play date, and I recommend those instead.
Yeah. And it's like, we could do an extended play date where like you guys come back in the morning for pancakes. Like, I'm down for
Oh,
that,
that's so nice.
that's totally fine.
You're really nice. I'm like, nah, we're good. If I stayed up with late
Like,
with you, I'm not
once you
getting up early with
leave,
you.
you're out.
It's been real. It's been real. I'll leave your stuff on the porch. Oh
that's
my
so
God.
funny. That's so funny.
Good luck. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah, I will.
Can you do like
I
a
will.
captain's log style text message to me?
Captain's log.
Hour 4. They're getting
Bottle
restless.
6.
Yes. Yes.
I now have a wine IV drip,
Yes.
and it is flowing straight to the back of my throat.
2 boys have cried. It's all right. We're all
Right.
still here.
Right. I've cleaned up poop. I've cleaned up urine.
Oh.
I have blown 17 noses.
I've cleaned up, or we've had 2 sugar overdoses.
Yep.
And a crash.
3 spill accidents.
Oh my God.
And one
And one
toppled
broken
down.
toy. One broken toy.
Right. Definitely a broken toy.
Oh my God. Good
Mhm.
luck. Good
Mhm.
luck.
Mhm. So,
Well, here's the good news. We, in the same way, kind of how you started us, right? The things that were true before Tuesday are true today. And I think two things are true at the same time, that it's going to be terrible for a lot of people and we're going to be okay. And there's community. And if we reach out and
some
exhibit
people are
care,
gonna be okay.
I
Some
know,
people are not.
I know, I know. Well, I would encourage anybody listening, if you have people in your life that fall into these categories of people who may not be okay, that you reach out immediately if you haven't already,
Yeah.
to express care and concern and community. How can we help? How can we support?
Right.
Know that you can count
Yeah.
on us.
Yeah. 'Cause it's like the thing about it is he's not predictable. And so it's like we know that he's going to do the things that he said he's going to do, but what that's going to look like, it's like you just
And
have no
when
idea.
and
And
all of
right,
that.
like you just don't have any idea,
And
you
I
know?
think this might be a good time for people to familiarize themselves with their state representatives, their Congress people and senators, especially if you live in a place where you have either like moderate or progressive representation,
Yep.
because we're going to be relying on Congress and the Senate to stop some bad
Yeah.
things over the next 4 years. And yeah, you people are going to have to lean on whatever they can to try and act as a check. Trump's first term, he had some more traditional voices, and they essentially acted like adults in the room. That's why he ended up firing so many people, because it would stop him from his like worst impulses. And I'm worried that he's not going to have many
We'll
of those
staff
same
up
people.
differently.
The people in his administration are
Mhm.
going to be
Yes,
much
people.
worse and much less likely to act as adults in the room. So, yeah, lean on your Congress people and senators and make sure just do anything that you can to try and drum up some resistance to what I'm sure are going to be some absolutely bonkers policy
Policies.
proposals.
And to that point, think about building, right? So next year in Virginia, next November, we're going to have a gubernatorial election. We're an off year. We can elect a Democratic governor to make sure that they have veto power over whatever comes out of state legislature around reproductive rights and transgender policies in schools and all of
Right.
these things, right? We've got midterms in 2 years now for Congress. We need to plan for that. We need to donate towards that. We need to volunteer for that. We need to have conversations that are hard, especially white people with white people, to say, hey, listen, we just gave this guy carte blanche to do whatever he wants across all of our branches of government, practically. House
Because
still to be
remember that
determined.
Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah. Yeah. And immunity
Let's
and
not,
presidential immunity.
yeah,
Yes.
let's not forget about that shit.
So
It's
we're going to need to
terrifying.
build ourselves a firewall, whether you think the economy isn't great or not. He's coming for your daughter. He's coming for your niece and nephew and your grandchild and all of, he's coming for your social security check. What is your plan? So maybe he does do some great things for you. Maybe he's going to make you happy in some regard. What is your plan for the rest of it? Because you had to overlook a lot to get to this point. So what
Yeah.
is your plan as a stopgap and as a firewall against the rest of that shit that
And
you just
also in
greenlit?
terms of long game too, because it's like you may see immediate benefits that serve you, but the long-term impact of those things is like you have no retirement now. So you got that check that you wanted, or those checks that you wanted, but now you have no checks after you turn 55 or 62 or 77. Oh, or the retirement age is just going to keep rising, and so you can never retire.
You'll just
And
die.
you'll just basically work till you die.
It's like the trading your birthright for a bowl of soup,
Mhm.
right? Is that Jacob and
Oh, and
Esau?
let's not
I think that's
forget
Jacob and Esau.
the billions of dollars that immigrants pay into our system that are no longer going to be available because he's going to be deporting those people, even though they don't actually reap the benefit of any of those contributions.
Mhm.
So let's not forget about that either.
Decrease in revenue and decrease in labor availability
Yeah. Mm.
and terror and breaking families and
Oh, and then
communities apart.
tariffs. So prices are going to go up. There are going to be fewer resources all the way across the board because the labor is going to be down, right? It's like just think about just that
Pull
thread.
the thread. Pull the thread.
Mm. plus $300 billion to deport. The
Right.
deportation plan could
It's
be
yeah.
he won't even he said he doesn't care. 300 and something billion dollars. Like in his first administration, he blew up the deficit and
Yeah.
left us with a staggering like trillions of dollars in debt, and he's going to
Yep.
do it again.
Which
So,
again is like, how are we a superpower again if we have all of this debt? I mean, I get this is like Western thinking,
Couldn't
but
buy a
like,
home on this debt to income ratio, could
we
you?
sure couldn't.
mhm.
Mm-mm.
Right? I was like, I saw this meme and it was the um the treasury. Oh, hey, by the we lost, right? And the Navy like, oh, hey,
We
and
can't
we
find this
also we
F-16.
can't
We can't
find
find this
this.
fighter.
Oh, since we're talking the Pentagon, hey, trillions here. And then the IRS is like, this lady didn't pay $2.17 in taxes 5 years ago. We should put her in jail.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds about right. Like the government loses, spends whatever trillions of dollars, no big deal. A regular person
Doing the best they
de-
can.
doing the best they can can't pay their medical bill from their hospital stay, and now they have nowhere to live.
Mm.
This is America. Anyway, so if I can survive the sleepover, I think that I'll find strategies to survive these 4 years. If I can survive a sleepover with
No,
5 toddlers ages 3 to 5, then I will be able to have developed the inner strength to navigate the toddler that's going to be ruling the
the
country that
hellscape.
has, yeah, the
No, so
hellscape.
basically, your sleepover with 5 toddlers is going to feel like 4 years.
Right.
Okay, so you're doing like a all at once boot camp.
Yeah.
Toughen up,
Right.
Corey.
Yes.
All right, get you some calluses
Trial
on
by
those pretty little
fire.
hands. Like,
Yes.
send me those gel manicures. Show me how
Yeah.
pretty those
It's
hands
like
are.
they're gonna be all busted up.
Nah.
Nope.
No, you're gonna work it raw. You're gonna get it all torn off.
Mhm.
We'll be thinking about you on Friday.
Mhm.
And friends and listeners, know that you're not alone. All of your feelings are valid and normal, and reach out to people who are in your community that can support you. Think about ways, especially if you are a person with privilege, significant privilege in lots of dimensions. Think about ways that you can be supporting people who are going to be most impacted. Think about nonprofits that are going to be doing the work, ACLU and Trevor Project, and all these different organizations that are going to hold back Trump as best they can and protect vulnerable populations.
And also be thinking about how you talk to the racist ass fucking people in your own family and begin having conversations. It doesn't have to be the whole conversation, but like start trying to understand their perspective, because you being able to understand why they would want somebody like this in office will help us as we are fighting for justice,
Yes. Both micro and macro, right? We need
both
a different
micro
message. What
and
message is
macro.
resonating with them that is not working broadly that we can understand and use, not because we want power, but because we want to actually fight for their interests too,
Yes.
right?
And what part of their lived experience do they think is going to be improved? Were they voting for? What is the piece that they were seeing? Where were they seeing themselves
Yeah.
in that campaign?
What was most
Right.
motivating? What was salient enough that they could overlook everything else to
Yes.
pick this shit?
Yes. And use that as the entry point, that listening for understanding. And then keep expanding the conversation, keep expanding the conversation. But listen for understand, not attacking, not blaming, not shaming, listening to try to get it,
Mhm.
or at least be able to see.
Because we need to make the world more just.
Yeah.
We got to fix this
And
shit.
that
No one's coming to
requires
save us. No one's
no
coming to
one
save us.
where it's us.
It's us.
And that means that we have to understand the people whose values and beliefs don't always align with ours. We need to be able to understand and connect with those people. Because I think truly at the end of the day, most people want to have a life that they can live with their families, that's in dignity, that is, there are a few things that we can all share. And so why don't we kind of identify those and hone in on those things and not all of the various ways in which we move differently? Anyway, it's my last 5 cents.
I'll take it. I'll take that nickel. Thank you. Thinking about you all in blue states and red bubbles and blue bubbles and everywhere in between. Because it's admittedly a hard week. What?
Also, don't forget to check in on the children.
Mm,
The children are feeling this in their own ways. They live in houses with people who have opinions about things, regardless of what those opinions are. And they hear them and they embody them. And so they may be at school getting into disagreements with people because the beliefs within their household around the election are different. So be checking in on the children. There are already kids getting racist tweets talking about they should be picking cotton and all this kind of stuff.
mm,
Like, be checking in on all of the children and make sure that they feel safe, that they feel confident in whatever it is that they're believing or espousing to be able to have a conversation, and that they know how to opt out of some of the conversations if they need to,
and validate their feelings,
and
right?
validate their feelings. Yeah.
This is not what we wanted, or this is scary, and you are safe,
Yeah.
and I've got you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Thank you. Great reminder. That was
Yep.
more than a nickel's worth. I'll take that too.
thank you all for listening to Pushing Past Polite on this heavier kind of day, where we talk about what matters and we make the world more just. I'm Kori.
I'm Laura. Thanks so much. Be the light where you are.
And Keith.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See, I'm gonna go start drinking. What is it? It's like
Hey,
11:30
it's almost
a.m.
Airport
it's almost
rules.
noon.
There was
Yeah.
airport rules there for a couple of
I
days.
feel
Like,
like
listen, just do what you got to do. Survive. Beer
I
before
feel like
9.
Daniel's out there making cocktails now.
I wish I were close enough to share one with you. He's getting ready for Friday. He's getting ready for the
Right?
sleepover.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, y'all, for listening to Pushing Past Polite. We're here for you. Be here for other people. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Pushing Past Polite. We encourage you to go deeper in your trusted spaces and find new space for good conversation.
You'll find episodes, transcripts, and lots of other goodies at our website, PushingPastPolitePodcast.com. You can also connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Pushing Past Polite.
Pushing Past Polite is an independent podcast with Kori and Laura from Just Educators.
Our cover art was designed by Rachel Welsh DeIga of DeIga Designs, and our audio is produced by Keith at Headset Media. Until next time, don't get stuck talking about the weather. Push past polite.
See you next time.
Jay, you did perfect.